So, in a sense, that was, in my mind, a different series because it was phase 2 of the major series. All right. But I never visualized it as standing in isolation from the main strand. And I had used shadow in the titles because I thought I was being really clever when I decided to put honor in every even numbered book title. Okay, but that was when I thought there were going to be 6 books. Okay.
Got harder and harder to do.
I got harder and harder. And then, not having learned my lesson, I was going to do that with the second arc. They were all going to be shadowy books, kind of thing. And the idea was to place them on a continuum for the reader so that they knew, which came first, the honor or the shadow. But when honor didn't die, they had to be woven back into the main stem, which is how I always visualized them working. That's how I visualized all of them working. Although I will say that the collaborations with Eric, I have always regarded as a step outside the main strand. But if you go back and you look at them, you will find that the things that happen in those books are absolutely critical to what happened in the main strand. So if you're not reading those books, you're losing an awful lot of context for what's going on in the main strand.
Okay.
So I think of them as a single common universe. They're not quite as bad as the Liaden novels in terms of, wait, what order were they written in? At least I wrote them in the same order. I love those books, but you're like, oh, wait, where am I now? Trying to parse them out into separate series is not the way to read them, in my opinion. Okay, maybe arcs within the series, maybe, but they're proceeding contemporaneously. Okay, it's not like, well, I went off and did this one, and now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start at this calendar date and do that. What's going on over here is going on simultaneously with things going on where honor is.
So it kind of deviates and then comes back in?
Well, it doesn't even deviate and comes back in. It's more a case of the events in this book are happening in a distant location simultaneously with the events in this book that honors it. Okay. And because of the communications lag, honor doesn't know what's happening over here, and they don't know what's happening with honor while the events are occurring.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that inability to communicate quickly, which frankly people have problems sometimes conceptualizing as wired as we are these days. The notion that there could be somebody who doesn't know what's going on, that you can't send orders that will get there in time to affect the outcome of the battle, simply because you can't get there from here that quickly. I think some people, not all by any means, don't get me wrong, but I think some of the division into separate series happens because people don't have that part of my conceptualization in their mind that he wrote 2 series, so obviously they're 2 separate series. No, he didn't write 2 series. He wrote a bunch of books that are connected at the hip, even though they're about different sets of characters, because they're happening contemporaneously. Okay, if any of that makes sense. Mm-hmm. All right, now, having said all that, how do I talk about where we might go without spoilers? Eric and I are working on a collaboration. The collaboration sort of takes off from the end of Uncompromising Honor, with a team assembling to see whether or not the alignment. There's a very useful term that has been thrown into the Honorverse. I didn't throw it in, but it's good. I think I may have stolen it and used it after it got thrown in. But there's the benign alignment and the malignant alignment. Okay, the benign alignment are the folks that people are finding on Mesa, who believe that the galaxy at large is wrong about genetically improving the human race, and they've been quietly working away on that over here, and don't know nothing about fleets and attacks on other star systems and manipulation of the Solarian League or any of that stuff. The very notion of that horrifies them, and they hate genetic slavery because they think it is working against the notion of genetically improved human beings by giving it this, dark, etc. And then there's the malign alignment, the malignant alignment. The malign alignment are the guys that let me say this too. The benign alignment, okay, really represents the original Detweiler idea. Okay. The malign alignment actually came into existence because of a fracture in the Detweiler family itself. Whether or not we ever get that developed in the novels, I don't know. But there was a more radical approach being advocated by someone or some small group within the Detweiler family. And they went off and became the malignant alignment. And the benign alignment, if you will, Detweilers died out. They weren't critical to keeping the benign alignment going. The malignant Detweilers were, because they were already into cloning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where the divergence begins. Okay. Well, a lot of the folks in the malign alignment were recruited from the benign alignment because the malignant guys have the benign movement pretty thoroughly infiltrated. They can siphon off talent, they can use its resources, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And nobody outside its own ranks knows that it exists. And so it's the malignant alignment guys who have like the suicide nanotech and so forth. Not everybody out there. Not all the guys in Manpower, not all this, not all that. It's just the ones who have knowledge of the malignant alignment's existence and plans. Okay. And a lot of Operation Houdini, or when they were pulling out, was dedicated to wiping out physical evidence, but also individuals who, if good intelligence types started questioning them, they would be connecting dots and saying, wait, there was something going on back here behind the scenes that maybe you didn't know about, but when you take this from you and this from him and this from down here and you combine it all, look what we get. So all of that is already kind of baked in from what's already happened. Okay. Well, Eric is working on the manuscript in which intelligence types begin trying to find the malignant alignment, traces of it, tracks, something. And there's our already well-known heroes from Anton and Victor, that crew. And then there's my new Indy Graham, and everybody knows that reprehensible gendarme who turned out to be a good guy. They're being assigned to it. But there's also a component from the Solarian League who had come to the realization that the Manties were right, that somebody was pulling the strings, even if they couldn't quite believe in the genetic supermen out to overthrow the galaxy. So they wind up going to, or some of them, going to Mesa, and there's sort of this joint task force that's operating. It's operating very quietly under the radar in a lot of ways because the Grand Alliance isn't real popular in the Solarian League right this minute. Okay, even the people who agreed that the Grand Alliance was right are still kind of pissed with them because you kind of kicked us to the curb and then blew up the Sol system, you know. I mean, okay, we may have had it coming, but, you know, kind of thing. So anybody who's working with the Grand Alliance from the Solarian side has to be very careful about how they do it. Okay, in the course of this book, things happen.
Perfect.
There you go. Things happen.